Hello, my name is MooingCat and welcome to my tutorial for the brand new minigame in the 2023 Halloween event. In this video, I will go through everything you need to know about the minigame itself, and I will do so by playing through a full game, explaining everything as I go along. Afterwards, I will also play a second game with a slightly different strategy, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well to learn more about the event. Now, if you want to learn more about strategies, make sure to check out my strategy video and also my written guide, where you can find more information about that. Alright, so without further ado, let's start, and let's start by choosing a deck. So when you first open the event window, you will be presented with 3 different card decks that you're able to choose between. If you click on these symbols here, you can see all the cards that are in each deck, but don't worry, you don't really have to care about this. All you need to pay attention to is this tip here that you can find, which tells you which deck is the best one to choose for the next dungeon. So here, opt for a vampire deck to vanquish zombies. Now I will explain more later on why this is good, but for now let's choose the vampires and let's start the dungeon. Now your goal in the dungeon is to defeat all the 11 enemy cards without running out of cards yourself or dropping down to 0 health. So let me go through how this works. So first of all, you will notice that the enemy card has a health up here. This means that you need to deal 1 damage, in this case, to the enemy card, and it will be removed from the enemy deck, and you will move on to the next enemy. On your side though, it's slightly different. You can see that we have 1 big health bar here with 14 HP. So when you fight, instead of the enemy dealing damage to your card, they deal damage directly to you, and you need to ensure that you don't drop down to 0. To avoid that, you are able to heal up for teeth, the event currency, and as you will see later on, there are also some ability cards that you can use to heal yourself. So what determines how much damage you deal and how much damage you take when we click this fight button? This is where the deck selection comes in. So if you click up here, you can get a battle tactics cheat sheet, and here you can see a little bit more about how the minigame works. There are 4 different types of cards. You have the 3 that we saw in the beginning, and then also witches. So the werewolves here has a bonus against vampires, the vampires has a bonus against zombies, and zombies has a bonus against werewolves. And that's why the card deck selection is important early on, because the enemy will have a higher amount of the specific card type that is mentioned, which means it is beneficial for you to have the cards that counter that. We also have the witches, which don't have any bonuses, but also no weaknesses, and then ability cards we will talk about a little bit later on. So how do you determine the amount of damage you deal? So down here on your card, you can see a range between 1 and 3 in this example. This means that when I click fight, I will deal between 1 and 3 damage to the enemy card. Now in the slot next to it here, you can see that it is blank. But if we go over to the enemy card, which is a zombie, we can see that it has a bonus here against the werewolves. So if I had a werewolf here instead, the enemy would deal between 1 and 3 attack, as the card suggests, drawn at random, but also 1 additional damage based on this bonus here. But in this case, there is no bonus because I have drawn a witch here. Each time a card is drawn at random. If you want to see your full deck, you can click up here and you can scroll through all the cards that are in your deck. Or you also have this very helpful addition to the FOE helper that I will be using for the rest of this video, that will also tell me which cards I have remaining in my deck. So instead of going in here and scrolling through them, I can look at all in one go. So here you can see that my deck, we have a lot of vampires. That's the deck I chose. But you can also see that we have some other cards. We have a few zombies, we have a few wolves, and we also have a few witches. So even though the card deck that you chose was a vampire deck, that doesn't mean there aren't other cards as well. And it is the same for the enemy. Even though the enemy has a zombie deck, that doesn't mean that there aren't other cards as well. It just means that it is more likely to have zombie cards. Now there are some exceptions. Card number 1, 2, 9, 10, and 11 of the enemy will always be of its card type. So here we can see that the first one is zombies, and later on we will also see that the enemy will have zombies at card 9, 10, and 11. Alright, enough talking, it is time to fight. In this case, I am quite happy with the card that was drawn on random, so we don't need to redraw, but don't worry, we will do that soon enough, and I'll explain everything about redrawing as well. So let's hit fight. We can see that I took 2 damage, I dealt 1 damage and took down the enemy card. I get a small reward, including keys that we will use to open chests for the daily special later on. So here we have battle number 2. Here I have a vampire, the big bat here. It will deal between 1 and 2 damage, but because the enemy is a zombie, it will also deal an additional damage, so plus 1 damage, or in other words, between 2 and 3, which luckily is exactly enough to take down the enemy. And later on we will see that this is important. You always want to try to take out the enemy with 1 card. You really don't want to use more than 1 card on each enemy. The enemy here, the zombie, will deal between 1 and 3 damage. I am a vampire, not a werewolf, so it will not deal this bonus damage. So again, I'm quite happy with the card that was drawn on random. No need to redraw, so we will leave that for later on. Let's click fight again. We will get some more rewards. There we go, some units and some keys. And we are now on to fight number 3. Here we can see that the enemy will give ability cards. So when I win this fight, we will see what this entails. Now here we have a choice to make. I draw the witch here, which will deal between 4 and 5 damage, which is enough to take down the enemy card in one go, so it could be a decent option. However, I know that for the next fight, this is actually quite a useful card to use in most cases. So what I think I'll do is that I will redraw. What I really want is this instead, the all-seeing, the witch, all-seeing, which will deal between 3 and 5. So slightly lower, but still guaranteed to take down the enemy. Now the enemy is a werewolf, so the majority of my cards, all the vampires, will take additional damage. So I think I'm gonna redraw first, and now you can see that when you redraw, you get 3 new cards that you can select between, and I got to exactly what I wanted. So here, you can see we have 3 cards, you can scroll through them, and you can choose the one you want. In this case, I wanted this all-seeing, so I will choose it, and then use it. Later on, there will be cases where we have to redraw more than once. When we get there, I will explain how that works. So let's choose it, and let me fight. I will win this, and now we get 2 ability cards. So, at fight number 3, 5, 7, and 9, you will be able to choose up to 3 ability cards. The first ability card you choose is free, and then you start having to pay teeth for them. So here we are presented with Vile Renewal, Heal, and Thief. There are 6 different types of ability cards, and I'm sure we will see some more later on in this dungeon. Now the first 2 here is what I classify as healing cards. Heal itself will restore HP, which can definitely be very nice. Then we have Vile Renewal, which restores a little bit of HP, but also deals some damage to the enemy card, which is definitely quite nice as well. Now, between these 2, I tend to prefer Vile Renewal. And the specific reason is that this, while it doesn't restore as much HP as Heal, the damage it deals is enough to take down a specific enemy. So I'm gonna choose Vile Renewal because it will allow me to kill off an enemy a little bit later on in the dungeon. After I've selected it, you can see that I can also choose to spend teeth to buy more. And if you are planning to play through the entire dungeon, it is usually, I find, nice to buy 2 cards in most of these ability card selections. Now here, I could buy an additional heal, but I'm not going to do that because we have the Thief. The Thief is by far the best ability card in the game if you plan on completing the dungeon. With the Thief, you're able to steal the keys and chest rewards right away, which means that you're able to grab the rewards from the enemy. However, you will still get those rewards again if you then proceed to win against the enemy. So when I plan to complete the entire dungeon, I always choose the Thief whenever it is an option. We will use it on the final boss, which gives the most rewards, for more keys, which will give us more grand prize progress, more daily specials, and so on. You will see later on when I end up using it. So when we are done, we can exit out of the menu. I usually don't recommend going for the 3rd card. It's usually not worth the teeth. So let's exit out and let's continue on to the next fight. So here we have Cold Hand, a zombie. It has 2 HP. And as you can see, my Algul here deals a lot more than 2 damage. It deals between 3 and 5, but it also have this 3 attack bonus against the Cold Hand. So in this case, this deals too much damage, and I will redraw it. And the reason we want to do that is that we want to save this for later on in the dungeon when you will need to deal this much damage. There are plenty of other options that are better, so I will redraw again. And here you can see that if you have an ability card, one of the options when you redraw will always be an ability card. I'm not going to use the Thief now, so let's see what the other options are. We have another vampire, slightly lower damage, and we have the Big Bat, which is exactly what I wanted. This one will deal between 1 and 3 damage, but it has a bonus of 1, which means it will deal at least 2 damage against the zombie, so let's choose that. Let's fight, and let's proceed to the next fight. So here again you can see that we will be given ability cards when we defeat this enemy. Now against this enemy, against enemy number 5, it has 3 HP, so if I redraw here, and there we go, 50-50 chance of getting the Vile Renewal. Now the Vile Renewal, the way the HPs works out, if you pick up a Vile Renewal in the first selection you can choose ability cards from, you will be able to use it 2 fights later against the 5th fight. So I can choose this, I will restore a bit of HP, but I will also deal exactly enough damage to take down the enemy. And if we get Vile Renewal again, we will see this pattern repeat. Every time you pick it up, you will be able to use it 2 fights later to one-hit the enemy. So here, let's use it, and I bring the enemy down. And as you can see, the enemy, when you use an ability card, cannot retaliate against you. So using ability cards to eliminate enemies is a really nice way to save your own HP. So here we go again. We have the exact same 3 options. And again, I'm going to go for Vile Renewal and Thief. Again, I do prefer Vile Renewal over Heal precisely for what you just saw. The fact that it is able to one-hit an enemy usually does make up for the higher amount of HP that Heal will restore compared to Vile Renewal. Alright, so let's close out of this. Again, I'm not going to go for the 3rd card. And let's continue. So here, enemy number 6 has 5 out of 5 HP here. It doesn't always. Sometimes it has 6 HP. And also, I do know that the next enemy will also have 5 HP, so I'm actually going to save the Vile Renewal. And the reason I'm going to do that is that the enemy here is a zombie. I have a lot of good cards that will be able to deal 5 guaranteed damage against this zombie, so I will save this for the next fight, which might not be a zombie. So I am going to redraw again. What I want is not the Algul here, it's a bit too powerful actually. And this one is quite nice later on, so I will not use it now. This is perfect. This vampire will deal between 3 and 4, but because it is a zombie, it has 2 additional bonus damage, so it'll be able to one-hit the enemy. So let's choose this, let's fight, and there we win again. So here we have fight number 7, the enemy will have 5 HP, and here I'm fighting against a wolf this time. Now the type here, it is drawn at random, and in this case it was a wolf, which is not ideal for me. Most of my cards are vampires, which this will deal bonus damage to, and none of my other cards, with the exception of one witch, is able to take it down in one hit, and the witch, it is only a 50-50 chance. So here I'm going to redraw again. For the Vile Renewal, I'm going to choose it, and I'll be able to heal as well as take down the enemy. So here you can definitely see the power of Vile Renewal. Alright, so here luckily we do get a couple of other options to choose from. We have Frenzy, we have Soul Sever, and we have Heal. So I am going to choose Frenzy. It is a really powerful ability card to use against the final 2 cards, or potentially also card number 8, which we will see in a moment. So Frenzy here, you will sacrifice 1 HP to make the enemy attack itself twice. And usually this means that the enemy will kill itself, although it's not always guaranteed. So I'm going to choose Frenzy. Now here we have 2 more options, both of which are good options. The Soul Sever here will reduce enemy base health by 50%, so it will cut the enemy health in half. And this card in particular can be very nice to have against the final boss, which you will see later on. If we use this, it will drop down the final boss to 6 HP, which means that I am able to kill it with a couple of my higher vampires. So in this case, I'm going to go for Soul Sever, so that I'm able to do that against the final enemy. Heal would also be nice, so that I can get some extra HP, but I'm doing alright on HP right now, so I'm not going to do that right now. I might pick it up in the next selection if it is available. Alright, so here we go. Here we have fight number 8. And believe it or not, I would say this is perhaps even the hardest fight in the dungeon. Card number 8, it will be a random card type. In this case, you can see that it is the Vampire, which is the same type that I have. It has quite a lot of HP, 8, but because I don't have any high level cards that deal bonus against it, I actually don't have any cards, regular cards, that will be able to one-hit this enemy. So that means that I would have to use 2 cards to be able to take it down. And to guarantee that, I would have to use 2 out of these 3 cards here. Potentially throw in a wolf pup if I deal enough damage. So in this case, I could use the Soul Sever. That would reduce it down to 4, and I'd be able to kill it off with one of these 3 cards. That would be a possibility. But instead, I am going to use Frenzy. So let's redraw, and there we go. Quite lucky on the redraws this time around. So here we have Frenzy. Sacrifice 1 HP to make the enemy attack itself twice. This is quite nice later on in the dungeon as well, and if I am able to pick it up next time, I might do so. But I think against enemy number 8, if the enemy is not the one you have strong cards against, it is a very nice card to use here in this scenario. So let's choose it, and now you'll see that I will drop down by 1 HP and the enemy will attack itself twice. Now hopefully it will deal enough damage to one hit itself. It's not guaranteed, but there we go, I did manage to take it down. Now we are down to the final 3 cards, and all of these 3 cards will be zombies, or will be the card type that I am strong against. So here I can see 6 HP, which is no problem. I have the Algul, 3 Alguls, all of which are able to one-hit this enemy. So let me redraw and see if I'm able to get one of them. So here we have one of them. Yeah, so here I have one of them, and I am going to use that. If I got the strongest one, I think I would redraw again, but in this scenario there's no need to redraw again. So I will choose it and I will fight. So here you can see that I was able to take it down, of course. And we are now on to the final ability card selection. Now, we only have 2 cards remaining. In our deck we have 2 Thieves and we have a Soul Sever for ability cards. If you don't have the FoE helper here, you can click on the deck here and you will be able to see through your cards. And we can see that I have a Thief, a Soul Sever and another Thief. Now in this scenario, I already know that I only need one of these cards. And actually any of these will do. I could use Heal, I could use Vile Renewal, I could use Soul Sever. It doesn't really matter. But I think I will go for Vile Renewal. It will not be able to one-hit any of the enemies. But if I do need to use it, it will at least deal some damage while healing myself, because I know that I will not need 10 additional HP. I could also use Soul Sever, but I already have one of those, so let's go for Vile Renewal. I might not even use it. So, here we have the second to last fight. It has 8 HP again, like fight number 8 had, but this time it is the zombie, the card that I has a bonus against. So if you look at my top card here, it will deal between 4 and 6 with 3 bonus, which means it will deal between 7 and 9. So a 66% chance of one-hitting the enemy. So what I'll do here is that I will redraw until I get this specific Algul. So let's do that. So here we have the Thief, we have another Thief, I'm not going to use that now, and we do not have the Algul. So now I will redraw again, and now I have 2 options on what I want to do. As you can see here, the first time I redrew, it cost 5, it now costs twice as much at 10. So if I click redraw again, I will get another selection of cards from my deck, and those are guaranteed not to be any of these 3 cards. Or what I can also do, I can choose a card and then redraw again. I will get another selection, but this time it can be some of those cards that was drawn last time. So here I got the Thief again. That was available in the last selection, and it is here again. And last one is an Algul, but it is not the right one. So I could do the same again. I could choose and then redraw again for 5. Or let's do this redraw again. Now I redraw 3 cards again, but it is guaranteed to not be one of the 3 that I just drew last time. So let's see if we get the correct Algul. We don't. So now I have another choice. I can redraw again. It again doubles in price to 20. And it will now only choose between the remaining cards here. Quite a few of them. It will not be any of these. But I think instead of doing this, I could choose and redraw 4 times. I think that is more likely, so I will choose a card, I will redraw again, and I will continue until I get the right card. And there we go, there is the correct card. It will deal between 7 and 9, as I said. Hopefully it will be enough to take down the rotten one here. So let's fight. And there we go. I was able to defeat the final, or the second to last enemy. Here you can see a feature that was added to FoE Helper. When your HP drops to below the amount that the enemy has, you don't want to fight, because if you do, you risk dropping down to 0 health and lose the dungeon. With one exception that we will see in just a moment. So usually, if this is not the final enemy, you would heal here, but as you'll see in a moment, we don't actually need to heal. However, before we do anything, we do need to use our 2 Thief cards. So let's see those in action. Let's redraw. There we have the first Thief. Let's use it and use. So now I stole the enemy rewards there. I got keys, all of those keys, and I got, in this case, the Sparkforge Zonespire Golden Upgrade Kit. You can learn more about that in my written guide. This is a really good building. You can also get the silver upgrade here, and some other rewards. Now I still have one thief remaining, so I want to redraw again. There we have the thief. Let's choose it and let's do it one more time to get the rewards again. So you can do this as many times as you want, and now again when I win the dungeon I will also get the rewards. So that's why you should always pick up the thief ability card when it is available. It's a really powerful card. Alright, now what we want to do is that we want to get the Soul Sever. The Soul Sever, if we redraw, this would actually also work with Vile Renewal, but I want to show something, which is why I'm going to choose Soul Sever here. So when I choose the Soul Sever and use it, the enemy here will drop down to half. It is rounded down, so even though it has 11 HP, it is rounded down to 5, so it loses 6 HP, which is nice. And now I have the Algul here, which will be able to take it down. It deals between 6 and 8 damage. Actually that's the only one that is guaranteed. So let's redraw. Now the Vile Renewal here would also take it down. However, when you win a dungeon, which you'll see in a moment, you get keys for your remaining cards. So for each regular card you have remaining, you will get 1 silver key. But for each ability card you have remaining, you will get a golden key. Now usually you don't really want to buy additional ability cards and in order to save them for this golden key. But in this specific dungeon, I've been really lucky, to be honest. So I was able to save it in this case, because if I'm able to get the correct card, not yet, let's redraw again. Nope, let's redraw again. Let's redraw once more. So you can see sometimes it does take quite a few draws, and it might be beneficial to redraw. Let's actually do that. So now I'll get 3 new cards. Not in there. I'm not gonna go for that one, so let's redraw. And there we go. This is the right card. It will deal between 6 and 8 damage. So with this card, I am able to take down the enemy. However, as you can see from my HP here, the enemy will also take me down. So what happens then? Well, luckily for the final boss, if you take it down, it doesn't matter if you also drop down to 0 at the same time. So let's fight. As you can see, I dropped down to 0, but because I won, I do indeed win the dungeon. I get the rewards here. And as you can see, even though the reward here only says 1, 2, and 3 keys, I got quite a few more, and that's because I had quite a few cards remaining in my deck. So for each regular card, I got a silver key, and for each ability card, I got a golden key. So let's close. Here we can see exactly that. You get additional keys. Okay, and there we go. We just won a dungeon. I will say, this was a really lucky example. A lot went my way, but hopefully it will still be able to show my thought process, how to approach it, tips like how to redraw, when to redraw, how to use ability cards, and so on, and how, in particular, how thieves work. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, I will also go through a second way of playing the dungeon, and here the goal is to spend as little as possible to get as far as possible. You will not be able to win the dungeon, but hopefully you will get as many rewards as possible. And this is indeed the worst case scenario. I only have one free selection left. It is the werewolf. The enemy is zombie type, which has a bonus against my werewolves. So worst case, but we can still make it work. So let's choose it. Let's enter, and let's try to get as far as possible. Now this one, I'm definitely going to save this card later on, especially when the enemy has a bonus against most of my cards. The witches will be quite valuable, so this one too powerful now. So let's redraw. Let's see if we get a better option. We do. We have the big bat, which will be able to take down the enemy. So let's use it, and let's see how far we got. So again, we have the zombie. As I mentioned earlier, card number 1 and 2 will be the enemy card type, guaranteed. So I don't want to use my zombies. I don't want to use my werewolves. My zombie here, it's a 50-50. I probably have some better options. I have the big bat, which is a better option. I have the cold hand here, which would be a better option. Even the black cat here would be a better option. This black cat. So I'm going to redraw. And let's see if I did not get any of those. No, actually no, I did get this cold hand. Yeah, I'm going to use this cold hand. It is enough to take down the enemy. Here we have a wolf, which is my type. I could use the alpha wolf here, but I do think I am going to redraw. I do have plenty of other slightly lower worth options. This is the most powerful card, so let's redraw. Let's see if we get a better option. I think I'm going to use this one. It's guaranteed. Neither of these are guaranteed, so let's use the alpha wolf. We don't want to redraw too many times when our goal is to simply spend as little as possible to get as far as possible. So now we are at the first ability card selection, and when we are not spending a lot, we only want to buy one card, usually, most of the time. We also do not plan to get to the final boss, so picking up the thief will not be a good option. You would rather focus on healing cards that will allow you to play for longer without having to heal, which is a really expensive thing to do. You really don't want to heal with teeth when going for this specific strategy for the dungeon. So let's choose the Vile Renewal. We can use that in 2 fights to one-hit an enemy. Let's deal with this one first. Here I'm actually quite lucky. I have a lot of wolves, so I have a bonus against the vampire. So let's redraw and let's see if we get a good option. Not really, I have a lot of better options, so let's choose and let's redraw again. This one definitely will do. Yeah, let's go for the alpha wolf here. Slightly overkill, but it's good enough. So let's fight. We will win, and now we can see that I will drop down, or I might drop down, or I will drop down. I will die if I fight against this. However, again, we do have the Vile Renewal, which will take down enemy number 5. So let's redraw. Vile Renewal, I will heal a little bit, and I will also take down the enemy. We can choose another ability card. Hopefully we get another healing card. So we do indeed have heal. I'm going to choose heal. Thief again, not useful when going for this strategy for the dungeon. And also madness, not really that powerful in general. Definitely not for this specific way of playing a dungeon. Alright, so I do need to heal to guarantee to survive this. So let's redraw, let's heal. And you can see that's definitely very nice. So again, quite lucky with a draw, another vampire. So that means that I can again choose one of my top picks here. Actually, I do need to choose the top pick if I want to be guaranteed to take it down. And I do think that's what I'm going to do. So let's redraw until we get it. I suppose the bug hack here could also be an option. But I think I would rather guarantee winning the fight. So I'm going to redraw again. I could take a chance with a lone one here. It's a 50-50 chance. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's play a little bit risky. Not sure if I would recommend this, but let's do it for the fun. Did not pay off. That's unfortunate. Anyways, the big bet here will do. We'll be able to take it down. There we go. So here we have a zombie, and you can see that more or less all my remaining cards have a weakness against it, except for the bug hag. So this is the perfect draw. A 66% chance of winning. Hopefully we are a little bit lucky here. We do not need to heal yet, which is very nice, and we do get another ability card. So if we win, we hopefully will be able to heal ourselves again. So let's fight, let's see. There we go, nice. We were able to take it down. So now we can close, and yeah, we do get another heal, which means we can still play for a little bit longer. Not sure how much, but definitely a little bit longer. And again, I'm not going to choose any other cards. Alright, this one definitely not ideal. The first thing though is that I need to heal. So let's redraw and choose the heal to heal up. I am almost full health, so I will be able to deal a couple of hits. You can see that all of my strong cards here have a weakness against the zombie. I think what I'll do is that I will use the cold hand here. Hopefully I will deal 3 damage. If I do, I will be able to finish it, possibly finish it off with Black Cat, or also one of these. Yeah, so I'm going to fight. Let's see how much I deal. 3 damage, that's nice. So now, I do have some options. I think what I'll try to do is to get the Black Cat. So yeah, I'm going to try to get the Black Cat here. Hopefully I'll be able then to take down the enemy. So let's redraw. Let's see if we get it. We don't. Another alternative is use the Alpha Wolf, but I do want to save it because with it there is a chance that I am able to win against the next enemy. I will definitely lose all my health, but I will still get the rewards. So let's redraw again. Let's redraw again. There you have the Black Cat. 50-50. Let's give it a go. Nice. We were indeed able to go down. All right. So now the enemy here has 6 health. But actually, it will only deal between 2 and 4 damage. So it will not actually be able to kill me. So I will first win here with the wolf. It will deal a little bit of damage, at least 2. There we go. And then I can redraw for the Alpha Wolf, which will guarantee that I win against the enemy. So let's do that. There we have the Alpha Wolf. I will still win. And even though I will drop down to 0, I do still get the reward. So let's fight. Let's get the reward. And there we go. And we didn't win, but we got a lot of rewards without spending a lot of teeth. I didn't count, I should have checked before, but I will write it in the timestamps how many teeth I actually spent. But as you can see, I hardly spent anything, just redraw every now and then. I probably spent between 50 and 100, which is not a lot. So this is another very valid way of playing the minigames. You do have enough teeth to play full dungeons at least once or twice per day, but for the 3rd dungeon every day, you do most likely have to you have to just play for as little as possible. And there we go. Let me close off that. Let me just quickly open the first chest. Nothing fancy there. Oh yeah, there we go. And let me actually spend all of my teeth. I will not show it, and we'll see how far I got in the event. Alright, there we go. I spent all my keys, so let's see where I landed. I'm currently almost in Gold League, although as you can see I do still have 3.3 thousand teeth to spend in the next 9 hours before the event ends on beta. I still have probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 dungeons, something like that. I do have to spend some teeth to start them, but that's what we get for not being able to play every day, as I wasn't able to play every day on beta. In terms of grand prizes, let's see how far up I ended. You need 3,000 to get the main building fully leveled. And I ended up all the way almost to 6,000 now. That said, definitely take these numbers with a grain of salt. On the beta there were a lot of balancing changes and so on, adjustments and so on, so these are not accurate for the live server. You probably will not be able to get this far, but you should still be able to get quite far, and if you play well, I definitely think it is possible to land above 5,000, possibly even all the way up to 6,000. But that will depend on how well you're able to play. Alright, so there we go. I hope you found this helpful. Now, let me know what you think. I do want to quickly say that the example games, especially the first one, was definitely a very lucky one. I think it was still able to tell you what you need to know about the mechanics themselves, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see another video from me in a couple of days where I play a game on the live server that is hopefully a little bit more difficult for another example of how to play. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Check out my other stuff in the description. Now, before I end, let me thank my Patreons for their support. I would like to thank Homestar, Loden, Kim Kelly, Rolf the 8, Dan Sumenat, Chanti, TKT, Dark Matter, Mylia, Sierra K, Merrick B, Hugo Count von Count, Jutta Dennis, Susan Weiss, Rocco, Spike for No Remorse, Martin Amres, Atomic, Flavius the Avenger, Arkler, Juber, Whiskey Meister, Mar and Sir, Hoss, Henrik Klaber, Adarel, Mike, Upshi the Obsessed, Ruth, Karen, Dennis, Flavius Beltarius, Stampe, Pudger, Mizek77, Niklas, Maxo, Michael, and Early Morning. Thanks a lot for your support, thanks for watching, take care, and I will see you in the future. Bye bye.